Did I act? I didn't overdo. I wasn't over the top. I didn't embarrass myself last night. I was. Tell me I was at least okay socially. Tell me I was at least acceptable.
You were acceptable. In fact, I wasn't frightened to talk to you at all.
It's Dr. Elizabeth Disbrow. Let me read your card here. It's awesome. The Associate Professor, Department of Neurology, Director, Center for Brain Health at LSU Health Shreveport.
Yes.
Wow. So we met last night at this Nick Getter's Louisiana Addiction Research thing. I was, if you've been listening, I don't know. I was as intimidated and felt out of place in a room as one could possibly feel last evening.
Oh.
There. Oh, poor little
That
fella.
was not the intent.
No. Everybody was really nice, but everybody was really, really smart. You among them. I was literally, and I've been talking about this all morning, I was in a room of doctors and researchers and PhDs and just like awesomely smart people.
Well, there were political, somebody from Senator Cassidy's office.
Really smart people. And then there was me. And it goes back to that Tom Brady story that I talk about is about self-confidence is believing you belong in the room.
Mm-hmm.
And Tom Brady with Gisele Bündchen, right? He's in a room of supermodels. Let me see. Which one do I want to ask out? I know. I'll ask out the one who's the most awesome looking, the most accomplished, and makes $100 million a year. And he marries her. There's no room that Tom Brady doesn't belong in. I'm not so sure I belonged in that room last night.
Well, the point was to have people from all across the community who are interested in the drug abuse problem to get their takes. I mean, we need some innovative solutions, and we need everybody's point of view.
Well, nobody asked me for those, and with damn good reason. But there's a reason I wanted you here today, Dr. Disbrow, because in our conversation when we were sitting at the table last evening, and we covered a myriad of topics,
mm-hmm.
and then we got to the $64,000 topic, we started talking about rage rooms. And if you don't know what that is, if you haven't been listening the last couple of days, Aaron and I have been arguing back and forth for 2 days about rage rooms. There's one over in Tyler. If you don't know what it is, basically you pay money. You pay money, I assume it's an hourly rate, and you put on like this safety suit and a helmet and gloves and goggles, and you go into the room with a sledgehammer or an axe or a bat and smash stuff up. And Erin said, I'd love to do that. I said, what? She says, oh God, I would feel so relieved. I would feel so relieved of stress. And I said, well, wait a second. What stress are you feeling? What pressure do you have in your life that you feel compelled to smash things to get some relief? And she goes, oh, I have it. And then I launched into, and it's what you and I talked about. I said, it's that can't be good for you. And you, bless you, young lady, agreed with me immediately. Tell me why. Tell me, just repeat for everybody what we talked about.
Well, there were some experiments in the 60s and 70s where they're called the Bobo doll experiments.
The Bobo doll.
And if you're not old, you probably don't remember, but a Bobo doll is a plastic inflatable sort of a cone with this innocuous clown
face,
smiling face. You know, you can get into clown phobias later, but and the bottom there's some sand, so you tap it and he rocks back and forth.
Basically one of those punch toy things.
Right. And what they found was that if they showed kids a video of somebody beating Bobo, then the kids would go and then later put the kids in a room with the doll. They would not only beat Bobo, but they would figure out other ways to harm him. They would throw him and punch him, and so they were observing this aggressive behavior, and they basically kick the bleep out of Bobo.
See, what I had said to Aaron was, I said, you can't, no, pardon me, no matter the controlled violence, it's still violence. And I said what I said to you last night. I said I liken it to I called it violence porn. And there are numerous, hell, I know examples of people I know that repeated exposure to pornography rewires you sexually. It rewires your brain. And the reason that I called it violence porn is I can't imagine that you can beat on something with any degree of regularity and not sort of be, unbeknownst to you, rewired. I can't imagine this is good for anybody.
And that's been a big concern with, Call of Duty style video games. A lot of research has been done there. And the first set of conclusions that people came to was that people who habitually play violent video games or beat Bobo lose their empathy for other people.
Now, it's interesting because, pardon me, because you just touched on something we did not get into last night. And that's especially young people's reactions to video games like that. Erin would talk about when her younger son was in high school. And she said he would play like Call of Duty or one of the behead as many people as you can games. And he would do 2 or 3 or 4 hours or more on one of these games. And she said when he finished, when he would set that game down after a few hours of beheading everybody in Europe, she said he was wired up like a toaster for another hour or two.
I think it normalizes some behaviors that are probably not great to be normalized.
How does that happen? I mean, without being overly scientific for an intellectually limited fellow such as myself, and relate that back to those people beating on those computer screens in the rage room.
Well, I think it changes your comfort threshold. I mean, was the other studies that they did was in the 70s was looking at violence on TV, and if you see somebody get hit in the head with a frying pan, and then in the next 5 minutes they're back on the show and they're fine, you think that that's real. If you don't work in a hospital and see the damage from somebody getting a head injury and the months of rehab it can take and the personality. I mean, getting a head injury is a big deal. And on TV, especially in the 70s, people were getting whacked in the head all the time.